morning, everyone. Lezeche Ishti, Alice Pfizer Bat Yosef Naim Vesalima. I still want to carry on talking a bit about the prayer Shema KOLEYNU. And if you remember, that was so important to us because if we might have forgotten in any of the prayers to give our personal requests, this was the time once again to do it. However, this time we should do it with real kavanot because we didn't do it before. And that's not good because we have to do it with emunah, faith, and in Hashem, and certainty, absolute certainty, and even faith in ourselves. And so we are told a story about the Baal Shem Tov, who called in one of his rich people, and he said to him, look, I'm sorry to tell you you're about to go bankrupt. So the man, of course, was upset, but if Rebbe told him, he told him. So he went and sold his business, gave all his money to his wife to protect it, to support the family, and he went back to the Rebbe. So the Rebbe, he said to the Rebbe, what will I do now? He says, I want you to go to Warsaw. I want you to stay in the most expensive hotel, and you pray, you learn, you cry, and that's what you have to do until something happens. So he goes in, being a rich man and well-known, they didn't worry about his bill, and for a whole month he never paid anything. And then he gets a very respectful note saying, please pay your bill. Do you realize how long you've been here? They waited, and a week later, he went downstairs, of course, spoke to the manager, and he said, look, tell your owners in a few days I'll pay them. And that was it. He came upstairs, a week went by, another knock on the door. And look, you've been here now nearly 2 months. You must pay your bill. So he carried on praying. He did nothing. He carried on praying in the usual way and learning Torah. And then having emunah in his Rebbe and in Hashem. And so he carried on like this. And then a week went by, and this time they sent him a very strong note. You must pay by tomorrow. Otherwise, we're going to take all the action necessary to be paid in full. So he just carried on praying, knowing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help in the last minute, even though l'chashev et haketz, right? And Hashem works it out when it has to happen. That evening, a very smart butler comes to the door with a note. And on the note, it said, from a very wealthy lady who knew him well, said, look, I need somebody to manage my business and also to handle all the accounting. I know you're a good guy, you know how to do it. I want to hire you, how much you want to be paid. He took the note and wrote down 50% of your shares. And the butler took it back. Midnight, this lady knocks at the door. She came in and she says, look here, I was very, very angry with you. And I waited until I'd calmed down. I didn't take action immediately, which was very wise of her. And now I'm here. I mean, don't you think that it's a cheek asking for that, 50% of my business? And he says, look, what do you want me to do? I leave all my business and I'll run your business. And you know I do a good job. Well, he had a very good reputation for being very successful and know what he's doing, and at the same time, really knowing figures and accounting. So she agreed to his condition, and they signed a contract. And then he turned around to her and says, look, can you pay the bill? And she paid the whole bill for him. And then he went back to his Rebbe to tell him about it. So the Rebbe says, look, the door opened, you had a job. Why did you ask for some? I mean, that was really taking a chance. He says, look, I decided once the gate of tears was open, I'll push it a little bit more and see what I can get. And so that it was with him. And you have a father who was worried about his son. He said to his son, look here, you know, you must aim for the top, only the top. And that's where you're going to succeed. You might not reach the top, but you'll get halfway there, more than that. But if you aim low, because you don't believe in yourself, then that's where you'll stay. And the father was worried about that, and that's the advice he gave him. And there's another story about Baal Shem Tov, who tells a story that a man was a lumber dealer, and he went down to cut trees in the forest, and he suddenly noticed that he managed to cut much, much, much more than usual of suitable trees, and he realized he was going to become very rich. So what do they normally do? How they transport it? They put it into the river. He ties it with rope, and then he walks along the river bank and guides it to his house. And just then there was a very strong wind. The river started to row fast, and he lost balance and he lost grip of the ropes, and off they went. And he realized all his fortune is gone. He's got nothing now, zero. So he sat down, he cried, he prayed, and he says, we've got to do something about it. How am I going to support my kids? And anyway, I have a daughter that I want to get married of. She wants to get married, but I can't have got no money at all. And so he went back and he went to the Rebbe. The Rebbe couldn't see him straight away. And for 3 days, he prayed exactly as we know he had to pray. And he prayed and he learned and he cried. And with all his heart, knowing that his only help is going to come from Hashem. And he really believed it. And he believed in his Rebbe. 3 days later, he goes into the Rebbe. And the Rebbe says, okay, listen, I want you to bring your daughter here. So he brings his daughter. Then he says, there's a man who just recently became very, very wealthy. I want you to go, he gave him his name. I want you to bring him here with his son. So they came, and the Rebbe said to him, tell me, how did you make your money? So he says, well, one day I was walking in my garden at the bottom of the river. I suddenly see a whole lot of logs that floated ashore. And that's what made me wealthy. So then the Rebbe told him what really had happened. And he says, look, I want your daughter to marry your son. And then we solved the problem together. And of course, they liked each other a lot, these two, and it worked out. Now, the whole secret is that all of us are faced with challenges all the time in our lives, however small and however big. And we have to bear in mind, it's not just words, words, words. It really has a meaning. Hashem listens to us if we say it with all sincerity. Not always. Sometimes the answer is no. But many times it does work. I mean, I know from personal experience, and each one of you know from personal experience, in your own lives and in other people's lives. And the thing is that we should add an extra prayer. And this is part of the bracha today. The extra prayer should be that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, give me emunah, give me faith. Give me certainty, absolute certainty, that I believe in you, and I believe in myself, and I believe in my family. And then go back and show the family you really, really believe in them. Because you don't have to fix something if you didn't break it. And that's important. Don't blow it. You have to remember. Because what's the trouble? You many times come home to your wife and you say, look, what you don't know how to do anything. You know, you have to stay at home. You're just a housewife, nothing. And it depresses her. It's not nice. But with his children, it's even worse. Because he's saying to him, look, you're nothing. You'll always be a nothing. His teachers tell him the same thing. His siblings and friends hear this. They say the same thing. So what do you expect him to do? He doesn't have any hope. He doesn't have any belief in himself. And there's a well-known story, I'm sure you know it, or maybe I've even told it, about a baby elephant. You remember the baby elephant, when it's very small, they put in a spike and they put a chain attached to his leg. Every time he tries to pull away, it hurts him a lot. And it cuts into him. And he tries and tries and tries, and he gets so used to that it's impossible as he grows up. But when he's very, very big, and with nothing he can pull it out, he doesn't even try because he's frightened of the pain and he knows he can't do it. And the same applies to all of us. So that's the blessing. We should all believe in Hashem. We should all believe in ourselves. We should all believe in our families and our children. And this way, we will only bring happiness to the world and to ourselves. Have a great day.